Hey guys, welcome back to the vlog. I'm here at Dookie Betts' place. What a nice place. Playing some cash games, a little 1-1. Thank you to him for inviting me out here. I got a haircut. Got no hair now. Let's go see if we can spin up a stack. Good luck, us.
For reference of how good this game is, player considering calling a 4-bet shove with 8-9 offsuit, I'll roll the tape.
No one's you got a pocket pair?
Dude,
nah.
5 numbers.
You don't. You got ace king?
100% honest.
Show me ace king and I'll call.
I don't have ace king. Till now, I don't have ace king, no pocket pair. No ace king. Worse than both of them.
Are you blocking this? I call.
Not tonight. For real? Tonight.
Yeah, I
flip. Alright, so he is. What are you doing?
That's right, he makes the call with the 8-9-0. He's up against Jack 10 and King Queen. Here's the run out.
Come on! Let's see the 8, bro.
Oh
Oh!
That's good.
It's an action flop. Come on, action river.
No! I'm dead. How did you hit that?
How does he hit that? Indeed, 8-9 off is gonna scoop the main. King Queen's gonna hold for the side. Get me a seat at this table, get me some chips as soon as possible. If you wanted more evidence of how good this game is, then look no further than this hand. There's an under the gun limp. I'm gonna raise it up to $5 with a suited ace. Dookie Betts is sitting to our direct left, and he wastes no time making his presence felt by 3-betting us up to $18.
Oh.
18.
First one, hey.
He wants to play a pot with me. I'm more than happy to go to battle with him. I'm wondering if I'm gonna 4-bet, if I'm gonna call. He's probably doing this lighter than normal, and he sort of hints to that here.
I have to play a 3-bet pot with JQ here.
I'm all.
I fold.
All in.
Luckily, the under the gun player lets us off the hook when he limp jams for about $70. Our suspicions were right about Dookie 3-betting us with a wider range than normal when he says this.
I 3-bet him light. He makes YouTube videos, and now I'm becoming committed.
We get a sweat and see that he's probably committed with a slightly better suited ace than ours. Definitely not a hand you'd normally 3-bet. Definitely not a hand that you'd normally 3-bet call off, but the price might just be too good to fold.
69.
How can I fold for that number?
We get a look at Willy Wonka as he walks us through his complex hand analysis.
I'm not folding.
Yeah, that's right. He's probably gonna put in the call with the ace-9 suited, probably behind everything, but
I'm not gonna fold.
I'm not gonna.
he's not folding. He makes the call. The pot's almost $150. They decide to run it one time, and he flops top pair, and it's gonna remain with top pair, top kicker to the river. The under the gun player is gonna muck his cards, so score 1 for Dookie Betts. He adds some money to the Oompa Loompa Secret Santa Fund, and this game's gonna be a fun one. For this next hand, we peel 7-deuce offsuit. The 7-deuce game is on. It's a hand that's hurt me before, but after some time and some healing, I think I'm ready to get hurt again. There's a straddle on to $2. Apparently, I need to get my eyes checked because
I thought it was a straddle to
15,
5.
go.
But
we apparently make a 7.5x open. Everyone folds, as they probably should to this size, and we get to show the table.
this one?
Oh!
That's right, we'll take down this massive $4 pot, but in addition to that, we get $2 from every player. Maybe not the most exciting hand, but it's our first pot dragged of the night. This next hand is a fairly interesting one. We have ace-jack suited in the low jack, decide to make a standard open up to $3, where we are promptly greeted with another Dookie Betts 3-bet, this time up to $12. This is our second orbit at the table and our second time being 3-bet by him. We have already seen in the last hand that he's getting a little bit out of line with these 3-bets, and that might be the reason why the button decides to come along with a cold call. Now, I think the button's range is very capped when he does this. I don't think he'll ever have the top 5% of hands. So when it gets back to us, probably continuing in this hand, it's pretty standard to call here, but I decided to take the aggressive route and 4-bet up to $55. Mostly trying to win the pot now, but if not, ace-jack suited is a hand that has some playability post-flop and can realize its equity in multiple ways in the forms of straights or flushes. Our pairs might even be live if Dookie is 3-betting a hand like 10s or 9s. I think the button player is weighted a lot towards suited broadways and some lower pocket pairs, and our hand benefits greatly from clearing out these equities. I don't love playing large pots out of position, especially not large multi-way pots out of position, so I like the 4-bet to try and win the pot now and clear out those equities. Dookie Betts might also like the idea of clearing out some equities because he reaches back into his stack and announces that he's all in for $169. and we get a little bit of insight into what the button player is thinking.
Can I say something about the hand I can't say in the casino? I thought I was trapping, but...
It's a pretty interesting statement from the button. I guess that means he's weighted more towards some pairs, maybe like tens or jacks or something like that he was considering 4-betting, but decided to come with the flat call because he expected me to 4-bet. Ultimately, it doesn't really matter because the button player is going to fold. And when it's back on us, I posture for a little bit and think about the decision, but I don't really think I have much of a choice but to just fold here. It's $114 more to win a pot. That would be around $350. So even though we're getting about 2-1 on a call, I think we're pretty much just bottom of range here. And if Dookie has found the 5-bet shove with 7 deuce or ace-5 suited, or maybe even the cheeky 6-3 offsuit, then power to him. Nice hand. So we decide to fold to what we later found out was ace-king, pretty far behind that hand. Good fold. We lose $55 and we move on to our next hand where we have an actual hand in middle position with pocket queens. Pretty good one to look down at. We're gonna make a standard raise up to $3. There was some confusion in game whether I made it $3 or $4. That'll kind of come into play a little bit later on the flop. Nevertheless, we raise it up to $3 with pocket queens. Obviously top 5% of hands, near the top of our range. Small blind is gonna call and the big blind is going to come along as well. So we're going 3 ways to a flop with $9 in the middle. Gonna be a pretty big pot already. And the flop comes out ace 7-5 rainbow. Both the blinds are gonna check it on over to me. So I go for what I think is a 1/3 size in game. I couldn't remember if I made it $3 or $4 pre-flop. I need to be paying more attention. Regardless, we're actually meant to be checking this board a lot, basically playing a big bet or check strategy, pocket queens falling squarely in this checking range, balancing with big bets with hands like sets, 2 pairs, some straight draws, and some middle pairs with backdoor straight draws. As played, I go for slightly over 1/3, and the small blind is our only caller. When the turn presents another overcard in the form of the king of clubs, and the small blind checks to me, I'm just looking to get a showdown. I check it back. When the river is the 6 of diamonds, and the small blind checks over to me, in theory we're meant to check this back 100%, but I think players in this game just call a little bit too much, so I tanked for a bit, trying to figure out if I can squeeze a thin value bet out of a hand like pocket 8s or 9s, possibly a 7. Eventually we check back, and we are good against 7-8 offsuit. So we're going to drag another pot. Again, not a large one, but we'll take any pot we can get our hands on. Next hand is probably our hand of the night. We're in middle position with 9 of clubs, 9 of hearts. We're gonna make a standard raise up to $3. You can see we've moved over to a new table, and after this hand, we're gonna start playing $1, $2 blinds instead of $1, $1, but for now, still the $1 big blind, 3x raise is gonna be standard. Dookie's gonna 3-bet us again, up to $15. Folds around to the small blind, who's gonna cold call. Don't really want to 4-bet and have to 4-bet fold our equity again if we get jammed on, so I decided to stick in the call this time. Dookie's not really a big fan of this though.
Dude, can you stop being a loser and 4-bet me?
We choose the passive route of just calling, and we see a flop of 10-4-4, so fairly innocuous for pocket 9s. We're gonna check and flow to the pre-flop aggressor, and he's gonna continue for a fairly small bet. He puts out a $10 continuation bet. It's a little bit smaller than 1/4 pot. Small blind folds. We're always continuing here, even with the 1 overcard. We decide to stick in the call. At this point, I think he's gonna have a lot of hands like ace-king, ace-queen, king-queen that we're beating, so no reason to do anything but call. The 7 of clubs, we check it over again. His 7 deuce now improves to a pair, and he's gonna slow down in check. That leaves us feeling pretty good. So when the river is the jack of diamonds, we check with plans of calling a bet of a reasonable size. Again, I think he's gonna have a lot of hands that just completely miss this board that contain overcards. So I don't think we can be folding, especially when we've seen how light he's been willing to 3-bet us. But we don't really get a reasonable size. He goes for 70. I snap him off, which we do some of the time, but he tells us
I have a 4. What? Is he really?
we called off a little bit light, and we get shown the bad news when he tables 8-4 offsuit? What is going on? Not really sure how I can put him on that. Of course, we could just be folding to the large bet on the river. Unfortunately, we get owned.
All in.
Call.
4.
You have a 4?
Of course.
You have a 4?
I have a 4. I'm the best. What do you think I play with? Give me the money.
For this next hand, we're gonna peel 3-4 suited and fold it because it's garbage and you should never play it. At least that's what I wish that I did, because in reality, we have the $2 straddle on playing $1, $1, $2. and I'm raising it up with the 3-4 suited in the small blind to $10. If you've been watching the video so far, I'm pretty sure you can guess what's gonna happen next. That's right, it's a Dookie Bets 3-bet up to $35. I mean, I'm just kind of getting sick of this. It's every time. He can't have it this often. I mean, it's just very unlikely that he's always got a hand against us. And last time we saw him get out of line with the 8-4-0, he's probably getting out of line again. So I decided to turn up the heat with some street poker and a 4-bet up to $75 with 4 high. I don't recommend this to anyone, especially not me, but we're gonna go for it. I'm tired of getting pushed around, choosing to make my stand right here, right now. The Dookie looks us up and down and pretty quickly tells us where we could stick this 4-bet.
Creates a lot of B's.
Fold.
ASU. You bet.
That's right, we 4-bet light when he was holding pocket kings. We picked great spots. Just feels like we can't get anything going tonight. I might be a little bit outmatched in this game. This next hand we're picking up in progress. We have 3-bet a hijack open up to $20. He's called. We have ace-8 offsuit, not typically a 3-betting hand. When we flop top pair, we're actually gonna go ahead and check behind here. We're doing that quite a bit, just for some pot control. Obviously, we could be out-kicked here and don't really want to inflate a pot against a range that continues to a 3-bet that's probably mostly ahead of ace-8. On the turn, when the hijack is gonna lead for half pot, I think after we check back, not really an option to do anything but call. We've kind of under-repped the strength of our hand. And on the repeat 4 river, I don't really love it. We now chop with any ace and lose to ace-queen and ace-king. He thinks about betting for a while. Eventually he checks, we snap check it back, and we are good against pocket queens. Pocket queens didn't 4-bet in this game? Yeah, I definitely have no idea what's going on, but we'll take down this decent-sized pot. This last hand of the night is pretty mind-boggling. It starts with a $5 straddle. We are in the big blind. We make it $15 with pocket 9s, and Dookie Bets defends the straddle. Heads up, out of position to a flop, which comes queen 9-3. We make middle set. In game, I choose to check. This is not solver approved. This is as an exploit, as I think Dookie is going to stab too wide, and I can get a check raise off. Unfortunately, he checks behind and the flush completes on the turn with the 5 of hearts. Still think we need to be making this pot slightly bigger with a set. Optimally, we go a little bit larger, but in game, I chose a 1/3 size. He calls, and the river is the disgusting 8 of hearts. 4 to a flush out there. We do not have one. Our set pretty much shrivels up. I check it over to him. He thinks for some time and eventually puts out a pretty healthy size wager of $30. We check for a heart. We don't have one. This isn't the best fold in the world, but when you're tilted and frustrated, it's still a pretty tough one to make. We're gonna show him what we're folding, and that's where we get to find out how sick this hand really is.
Yeah. Queen 9 with. Did you. What the f?
How did you not get all my chips there?
What was the hand?
I flopped top 2 and he flopped a set.
Somehow we have almost the perfect cooler setup for us with middle set against top 2 pair, and we don't get the money in. You could hear how surprised the dealer is when he asks,
You had a set?
Yeah.
Oh man, you gotta go through.
our dealer kind of makes a good point. If we had got the money in on the flop, and he went runner hearts, I would have been stacked. So maybe a glass is half full kind of situation here, that we didn't get it all in. In the moment, it didn't feel great because I deviated from GTO with my flop check, but maybe my exploit ended up saving me money in the end. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of this hand. Definitely one of the weirder ones I've ever played. I'm just gonna try and be grateful that I didn't lose over $300 in this pot, but you can clearly see it's not my night. It's time to rack up and end this nightmare session. Alright guys, that's going to conclude this episode of the vlog. We were in for 400, out for 170, so took a loss, about $230 on the day. Just sort of a nightmare session, just couldn't get anything going, not making too many strong hands, getting relentlessly 3-bet by Dookie Bets, who went to battle with him a lot today. If you can take something away from this video, it's how difficult it is to play against aggression. So if you want to increase your win rate, you want to put your opponents in tough spots, 3-bet them relentlessly. Probably not as much as he was this episode. Definitely not with the 8-4-0. That's a bit speculative. He had a couple drinks, so there's always that factor. But it is difficult to play against aggression. If I want to move up higher in stakes, players are going to be better. They're going to be more aggressive. I'll have to learn how to deal with it. Overall, not super disappointed with how I played necessarily. just sort of a super weird session filled with super weird spots. But what are you going to do? As always, thank you to Dookie Bets for having me out there. If you haven't already, please give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what's the most you've ever been 3-bet in a night. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.